Welcome to Carsington Water. Welcome to glorious Derbyshire. And welcome to Action for Wildlife Day. My name's Adrian Rowe from Hen Harrier Action. Let me introduce my colleagues. Paul on the camera. Nod your camera, Paul. Or wave. Andrea, Jack and Jonathan at the Hen Harrier Action stall. Please come and see us at the Hen Harrier Action stall during the afternoon and say hello. Maybe buy one of these fantastic, sustainable, organic cotton t-shirts. Just £15, and when they're gone, they're gone. Or sign up for our email newsletters and get the chance to win these superb 8x32 binoculars from our friends at Opticross. One lucky person, just simply subscribe to our newsletters at the Hen Harrier Action stand. One lucky person is going to walk away with these top quality bins this afternoon. So who are we? Hen Harrier Action is a small charity that campaigns for better protection for hen harriers and other birds of prey, and better protection for the UK's uplands and biodiversity. We run online broadcasts like Skydancer Day. We engage with schools and young people through competitions like our Young Wild Photographer and our Young Wild Writers competition. And you'll be hearing more about that because children's author Jill Lewis will be announcing the winners of this year's Young Wild Writers competition later this afternoon. We raise money to support satellite tagging of young hen harriers, and we've just funded tags for 4 more: Gilda, Sita, Adar and Bimbial. And we organise and support events, Hen Harrier Days, usually just ahead of the start of the shooting season, to campaign against the relentless persecution that goes hand in hand with it. But today's event is much wider than that. Of course, we want to celebrate 10 years of Hen Harrier Day activism. And Ruth, Mark and Chris from Wild Justice will be doing just that later this afternoon. Hen harriers are stunning birds, and they should be thriving in our uplands. But let me tell you, they are not. They are still Britain's rarest and most persecuted bird of prey. They are still, in the 21st century, shot, trapped, poisoned, stamped to death in the nest. It's illegal. It has been for years. But successful prosecutions are almost non-existent, and sentencing for wildlife crime is woeful. Later this afternoon, you'll be hearing from Mark Thomas, the head of the RSPB investigations team, who will tell you more. Please visit their stand and support their Stop the Killing campaign. But it's not just hen harriers that are threatened in the UK. It's all our wildlife. And it's not just our uplands that are suffering. It's our lowlands, our national parks, our coastlines, our seascapes. The most recent State of Nature report says that the UK is one of the most nature-depleted countries on Earth. And that's why today is much wider than just another Hen Harrier Day. That's why today is Action for Wildlife Day. Because we need urgent action. We need action for wildlife. And we need it now. Now, before I introduce our first guest speaker of the afternoon, I want to express my thanks to the partners who've helped us so much to plan and fund this afternoon. Huge thanks from all of us at Hen Harrier Action, to Derbyshire Wildlife Trust, Protect the Wild and Wild Justice for their unwavering support, and a big thank you to Severn Trent, who've stepped up and provided this site and all the fantastic facilities here free of charge. Make sure Good old Severn Trent. Make sure that you get your hands on this leaflet. It's widely available on the site. It tells you what's happening this afternoon and when. It tells you more about the sponsors and the stalls. And there's a map of Carsington Water. And it has a manifesto, 5 thoughts that we want you to take away from this afternoon. Finally, from me, there are a few housekeeping issues that Severn Trent wants to mention. You're welcome to enjoy a picnic anywhere on the site, but no barbecues are allowed. There's great catering facilities, the main sale restaurant, the Watermark Cafe, the various kiosks, the ice cream parlour. Please take your litter home with you at the end of the afternoon. Dogs are welcome anywhere on Carsington Water. Please keep them on a leash at all times. And swimming and entering the water is not allowed for you or your dog. We will be taking photos this afternoon, and we've assumed that by attending today, you consent to appearing in those photos. If you do strongly object, please let the photographer know. Finally, I want to pay a special tribute to the team from SPL who are running the stage and audio this afternoon and who have worked on 2 previous Hen Harrier days in Cheshire in 2022 and here at Carsington Water in 2019. On both those occasions, the team was led by Steve Morley, the boss at SPL. And we began planning this event with Steve several months ago. Sadly, Steve passed away after a short illness. Mark Avery worked with Steve and his team on both the previous Hen Harrier days. And I've asked Mark to say a few words about his memories of Steve.
So Adrian asked me to say a few words about Steve Morley. And it will be a few words because I can't say I knew him that well. He was one of those people who I met every now and again and got on with and thought, oh, he's a good bloke. And I was looking forward to seeing him again here, because he was here in 2019 and then he was at Adlington Hall in 2022. And I was looking forward to seeing him and just swapping a few words. But unfortunately, he passed away this spring. I can't tell you what a brilliant bloke he was because I didn't know him that well. But he was a good guy to work with. The team here, I was talking to them earlier, they miss him loads, not surprisingly. And it got me to thinking about when we were first here at Carsington Water, that while Justice, the main person who talked to Steve was somebody called Michelle, who was lovely. She did all the arranging with him, and she passed away fairly soon after this event then, very quickly, and that was a big shock to us. And basically, you go through life, you meet some people, you think, oh, I'd really like to see them again. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You end up missing them. And I'd just like to leave you with some words that are much better than my words, because they're by a poet, John Donne. And I had this little passage on my wall in university. And when people pass away, I tend to think of this. I've written it down, but I think I can do it off by heart. So, no man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, then it's just like a promontory were, or if a manner of thy friends or of thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, so never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. And that's kind of what I think when I hear the news like of Steve and Michelle, because I'm involved in mankind. I like people. I like talking to people. I've talked to loads of you today. Hope to talk to more of you. Some of you have been coming to these events for 10 years. Some of you have just turned up for the first time. Come and have a chat while Justice over there. And There will be people who drop by the wayside, they change what they're interested in, or they pass away. We need more people to pick up the torch and run with it. But you will hear more about that from Wild Justice from the three of us, me and Ruth and Chris, towards the end of the afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Jason, George, Tony and the team for making sure that today's event could still go ahead. Thank you all for joining us here in glorious Derbyshire for Action for Wildlife Day. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our first guest speaker this afternoon, right here in the glorious Derbyshire countryside. Please give a very warm welcome to the Chief Executive of Derbyshire Wildlife Trust, Joe Smith. Joe Smith.
So, hello everyone. It's really, really amazing to see so many people here, despite the rain. We at Derbyshire Wildlife Trust have been enormously proud to support Hen Harrier Day from day one.
Now,
Some of you might have been there. Day one was a washout. There was literally as much rain as I've ever seen in my life, and everyone was absolutely drenched. But it's grown and grown and grown, and we're proud to be here 10 years later. And it's great to be amongst friends. Sometimes the enormity of what we're facing, it can make you feel quite lonely. So times like today, where we all come together and we remember that we're all in it together and that we all need to work together and that there are loads of people that care and there are loads of people that want things to change, I think that's really heartwarming. So thank you for coming and thank you for being here. Today, though, I want to share a message of both urgency but also of hope. I want to share a call to action for us to restore and recreate the natural world right here in Derbyshire and further afield. Our landscape with its famous peaks, its ancient woodlands, its meandering rivers, it's not just a backdrop of our lives, it's a living symphony, a masterpiece, and every single bird, bee, stream plays a vital part in making that orchestra come together. And in this symphony, we see a profound connection for the past, but also a commitment to the future. It's an important place for every single species and every single person to play their part, to make that music, to make that tune work. And if we all come together and everything is working in harmony, then it's a beautiful, beautiful symphony. Derbyshire Wildlife Trust has been at the heart of restoring and recreating habitat. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our work in a minute. But we know that we're not doing enough. Our work reminds us every single day, though, that every action, no matter how small, really matters and contributes to a larger, harmonious future. Habitat loss, pollution, climate change, they're all changing our landscape. Things are changing at an alarming rate. We're losing species all of the time. You just need to click your fingers. That is another species gone. Imagine, if you will, an orchestra, a symphony, music playing, everything working together in harmony. And that's how our ecosystems work. We need every single part to play its part. And without any of those parts, it all starts to disintegrate and fall apart. But what happens when we lose some of those voices? When some of those species are silenced? When they become ghosts of the landscape? When they are no longer with us? When the habitats that fill Derbyshire with life start to be destroyed, to be ruined, to be lost. Sometimes when I visit the Peak District and I walk through that landscape, despite the fact that there's pockets of brilliance and beauty and amazing wildlife, in quite a lot of it I feel that eerie loss, that lack of sound, that lack of noise, that lack of life. Eerie silence is something that I really want you to think about and concentrate and really want to come back to later today. We're missing some of our iconic species. We no longer have red squirrel, once majestic across our landscapes here. The water vole, a charismatic creature, is one of our most precious but also most vulnerable mammals. And the curlew, we used to hear its haunting sounds all of the time. Now it's a rare and unusual sound. And then we've got persecution. We know that's partly why we're here. The hen harrier, beautiful, magnificent bird of prey that should be dancing across our uplands. And its distinctive flight is so beautiful. That's why it's called the Sky Dancer. I'm lucky enough to have seen it, but only once. And I've been to the Peak District many, many, many times. There should be hundreds of pairs there. Instead, there's very, very few. They're being persecuted to near extinction. And the persecution is not only illegal, but it's profoundly unjust. And it's affecting the balance of the whole ecosystem. It's affecting that orchestra. It's causing our ecosystems to start to fall apart. And then we add to this troubling scenario the badger cull, our beautiful badgers. It's the iconic vision of the Wildlife Trust is our badgers. It's on all of our logo. It's on all of our promotional materials. It's a beautiful, beautiful mammal. And yet, we are killing it. We're killing it. We've killed 250,000 badgers in the mistaken belief that it helps bovine TB. And yet the evidence says it's having no impact. In fact, it could even be making things worse. And yet we sit and we watch 250,000 protected animals unnecessarily culled. And they're not the only species. There's many other species that are being persecuted, that are being killed, that are being poisoned, or the habitats that they live in are being destroyed or poisoned or ruined. But we're proud at Derbyshire Wildlife Trust that despite all of those challenges, despite all of those things that are hurting this symphony, this orchestra, and creating these ghosts, we're proud to have done some really special, really amazing things that demonstrate that it's possible to do it differently, that demonstrate that it is possible to restore, recreate, and build back our wildlife and our future. One of the things we're most proud of at Derbyshire Wildlife Trust is reintroducing beavers. Beavers are such an amazing ecosystem engineer. They are gorgeous creatures. They're beautiful creatures. They haven't been in Derbyshire for 800 years. And 2 years ago, we brought them back. We brought them back to Willington Nature Reserve, which is a nature reserve in the south of Derbyshire, for those that you don't know it. And we actually created an enclosure that surrounded the whole of their nature reserve rather than just a little enclosure. So you can go right into the nature reserve and you can be really close to beavers. You can be within a metre of the beavers. And when I'm feeling lonely and when I'm feeling sad, when I'm feeling that eerie silence of the ghosts of what we've lost, I go to Willington and I have a look to see if I can see the beavers, because they give me hope. They give me the belief that we can make a difference, and they give me the hope that we can all together do more and more of that. So I'm going to continue with some of the highlights in a minute, but I just want to share that special moment with you in a video clip. So bear with us while we load it up. But this is the moment that beavers came back to Derbyshire after 800 years.
About this, beavers are back in the East Midlands for the first time in 800 years. In the early hours of this morning, 2 of the animals were transported from their home in Scotland and brought to a nature reserve at Willington in South Derbyshire.
Well, our correspondent Peter Bean has watched history being made and can join us live from the scene. Pete, it certainly sounds like it's been a very exciting day. What's the atmosphere been like?
Oh, Charlotte, it really was a privilege, I would say, to be here at Willington Nature Reserve in Derbyshire to witness this moment in history. It was just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. We were perched on the bank over there and were watching as 2 beavers, a male and a female, were released just where I'm standing now. They travelled down from Scotland and they're here in a joint venture between Derbyshire Wildlife Trust and Severn Trent Water. Now, beavers were hunted to extinction centuries ago, but now they're back in the East Midlands. And boy, was that a moment this afternoon. Tail first and a little tentative after her 300-mile road trip, it was the female who emerged first. Seemingly unfazed by all the attention, she was soon getting to know her surroundings. Then came the male, an eager beaver this one, making a beeline for the water. An afternoon swim, clearly just the tonic after their long journey south.
I think they cope better than me. Yeah, no. I mean, it's a 5-hour journey. You know, the roads aren't that exciting as a motorway down, but hey, you know, they were happy, they had their straw and food. Like any wild animal, they want to be out and they're back where they should be.
The beavers were caught in Tayside in Scotland in August. Since then, they've been in quarantine in a Scottish zoo, having health checks. At Willington, they won't just be a draw for wildlife lovers. As nature's engineers, they'll also play a vital role improving the wetlands and preventing flooding.
Can't believe I've got to be here today and to see what is effectively a furry water company be released out to start treating the water and helping us with flood management, and it's just fantastic.
The animals weren't just introduced to Derbyshire today, they were also introduced to each other.
These animals, they haven't met each other before, but so we're hoping for good things. But you can see she's a big healthy female, he's a big healthy male, so hopefully in years to come they should breed and settle down together.
Wow, what a moment. A story that's been 800 years in the making, but beavers are finally back in the East Midlands. Fantastic. Yeah, no sign of the beavers tonight, unfortunately. Perhaps they're sort of beavering away, creating their first dam or lodge, who knows. But somebody who is here is Joe Smith, the Chief Executive of Derbyshire Wildlife Trust. Thanks for joining me tonight, Joe. I mean, it was incredible to watch for me. What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was incredible. It was a very, very special moment, and watching them kind of jump into the water and feel so happy in their new home was a real honour. And you know, it's been a culmination of a lot of people doing a lot of hard work for a number of years, so it's a delight to see it happen.
And explain to us, why have you brought them here to Derbyshire?
I mean, beavers are really special, amazing creatures, and they're going to amazingly look after this habitat for us so that we can put a lot less effort into it ourselves and let nature come back. They'll mean that there's more birds, more bees, more butterflies, and they'll also help with the water quality, so the water quality will improve, and they'll work with the river and make it flood less.
And just briefly, these are the first but not the last.
Yeah, so we hope to have another family within a sort of 4 to 6 week period, so mum and a dad and some babies, so that will be really exciting.
Joe, thanks ever so much and good luck for the future. So, I mean, I'm no Chris Packham or David Attenborough, as you know, Bob, yeah, but to be honest, you know, I've seen some wildlife encounters this time in my life, but this one really was up there. A fantastic moment in history, and we look forward to seeing how our beavers cope in their new home.
A really special moment for Derbyshire, and something that we're really, really very, very proud of. But it's not the only thing we've done to help restore wildlife in Derbyshire. That's down in our Trent Valley landscape, where we're creating wetland. We're just about to buy a new site, and we're creating huge swathes of wetland, working with the landowners in the south of Derbyshire. And then you come up to Derby City, and you know, we strongly believe that people are the answer to wildlife's future, and so we've been working really hard in Derby City to engage people and connect people with nature. And one of our biggest, most ambitious projects there is our project at Allistry Park, which again we're really, really proud of. So for those of you that don't know, Allistry Park was a golf course. It was losing money. The council didn't really know what to do with it, and we worked really hard to persuade the council, to persuade the people of Derby to stop golfing on that golf course, stop using it for only a small number of privileged people, where they were cutting the grass really, really short and it was bright green like the grass we can see in front of us, and to instead create a beautiful landscape full of wildness, full of people, full of life, full of colour, full of noise. And they agreed to do that 3 years ago. So we've now created the UK's largest urban rewilding project right here in Derbyshire, in Derby City. It's a huge area. It's already full of people, full of life, full of wildlife, and it's connecting people who've never really had that experience to see wildlife close up. It's connecting them back to why wildlife matters. And then we move up to the Derwent Valley, which is the area around here, And we're working with hundreds of landowners and hundreds of communities in this landscape to restore particularly the river corridor, to stop the river from flooding. Natural flood management is a much better tool than the concrete that we've used of old. So we're working really hard to rewild that river, to create more woodland, to create more space. And we hope to reintroduce pine martens into this landscape over the next 5 to 10 years. And we've just bought a farm, Common Farm, which we're really excited about. So that's a £2 million place that's been sprayed with pesticide, overgrazed, it's been knackered, and we want to bring it back to life. So we're going to rewild that space and create a really lovely space for people and for wildlife to come together, to learn about rewilding, to learn about what you can do in your own garden, in your own churchyard, in your own school, in your own community, on your own land, and really engage people in rewilding in a really proactive way. So watch this space, and lots of people supported us to buy that land. So if you did support us, thank you very much. And then we move up to the Peak District, you know, a protected landscape, a landscape that should be full of wildlife, full of people, full of colour, full of noise. And, you know, I've already touched on the fact that it really isn't. But despite that, we are working really hard to change that. So we've got our Wild Peak project, which is a project that's now working with hundreds of landowners to rewild land. It started with quite small landowners because there was a bit of nervousness around what we were doing and why we were doing it. But it's building and building, and now we're working with landowners like Haddon Hall and Chatsworth. And again, we're looking at pine marten reintroduction, we're looking at some bid land acquisitions, and we're looking at some big changes in that landscape. So again, watch this space. So, you know, our work shows that it is possible to change, that it is possible to do things differently, that it is possible to bring back iconic species like the beaver, like the pine marten, like maybe one day lynx, species that help those ecosystems to come back together and work in harmony without our interruption and without our involvement. We believe strongly at Derbyshire Wildlife Trust that that's the future and that's what we need to do more of. And we're working really hard to help people to do that. So instead of doing it ourselves, we're supporting others. So if you know anyone who would be interested in rewilding, or if you would be interested in rewilding yourself, then please come and talk to us. We're desperate to work with you and we really want to help you. And so one thing we really need to do is connect more people to wildlife, because some of the reasons that we can't reintroduce species are actually because of the fear that people have, because of the disconnect people have between their lives and wildlife. We used to live in wildlife landscapes. Much of this area would have been wooded in the past. We've forgotten what a true wild landscape really looks like. And now we imagine that fields full of sheep are actually what our countryside should look like. And they shouldn't look like that. They should be full of bees. They should be full of flowers. You've probably noticed this year, you know, where are the butterflies? Where are the bees? Where are the wasps? It's been scarily, eerily quiet. There's much, much less than there used to be. You know, the thing people often talk about is the number of flies on your windscreen. You know, when I was young even, there was thousands of species on your windscreen at the end of a long drive. Now there's nothing. Now you can have an ice cream at Carsington without even being in danger of being stung by a wasp. You know, it's all gone. It's all been lost, and it's devastating to think about. So we've been working really hard at Derbyshire to reconnect people. We've got our junior rangers here today, and they're a really good example. If you get a chance to go and talk to them, go and talk to them. So it's our junior rangers programme for 11 to 18-year-olds. They're amazing people. They love wildlife. They're out there in Derbyshire delivering exciting work, and that's what the future needs to look like. It's those people that are going to make the change that we need to see. And the initiatives that we're running, like reintroducing beavers, like Alistry Park, like Common Farm, they're the things that give me hope, that should give us all hope, that should remind us all that we can do this. We need to work together. Our Beaver programme, for example, we had hundreds of partners. We had loads of support. The Beaver Trust were incredible. Severn Trent were really helpful. We had loads of supporters donating money. It took an army of people to get those beavers back into Derbyshire, but boy, is it worth it. And boy, does it remind you of that need to come together, to work together. We're all in this together. Let's do it together. Let's make a difference together. But, you know, going back to those ghosts, going back to those missing species, what I would like you to do, if you're able to, is just in a minute when I stop talking, I would like you to close your eyes. And I want to have a moment of silence for the species that we've lost. And in that moment of silence, I want you to think about a wild space that really matters to you, somewhere you go to regularly. And I want you to imagine it without nature. I want you to imagine it being destroyed, that the nature's all gone. I want you to think about how that feels and what that feels like. And then I'm going to show a little poem and bring it back to life. And when the poem's being read out, I want you to think about that space being full of even more life, of having more exotic and exciting creatures there, of being full of people, of life, of noise, of joy. So if you will bear with me just for a few seconds, please close your eyes and please think about what we have lost.
I am the natural world. It serves my needs, my words, my deeds. I'm a part of nature, like the birds and bees, like the ferns, the seeds, the dirt, the trees. We complement each other perfectly, giving each other balance and certainty. Just look around, there's life everywhere. The sky, the earth, the sea. Ain't it crazy how we're connected? Don't you think it's cool how we're linked? The one thing we all have in common is life. Let's not fall out of sync. Let's celebrate nature in our day-to-day, at home, at work, and how we talk, how we think. It starts with recognizing we're part of it all. Nature's reaching out. Let's answer the call.
I look forward to meeting some of you this afternoon and hearing the rest of the talks. Thank you very much.